We're going to try to get through most of the book of Deuteronomy today. We won't be able to finish it, but we'll get through. There's going to be some difficult things to explain today. And so as far as cognitive stuff, this is probably the most difficult day we'll have in the course almost. As far as cognitive stuff, it's some pretty heavy stuff. We'll be dealing with law and grace and the difference between the Old and New Testament and things like that. So some pretty heavy stuff. But before we get to the heavy stuff, let's do some lighter stuff. And it's not really light, but I want to talk about, first of all, is I want to teach you all the 10 Commandments so that you know the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments are kind of like the foundation. They're called the general stipulations. They're kind of foundational to everything else in the law. And so basically I had trouble memorizing the 10. It's kind of like the 12 apostles. You kind of always lose one. You got to go through them a couple times and things. And so I decided to make a kind of a goofy acrostic here for it. So here are the 10 Commandments, okay? The 10 Commandments, big LC SPAMS, okay? Now, for my generation, do you guys know what SPAM is? Probably people don't know SPAM. SPAM, they put this stuff in a can, and it like stays good for like 30 years. And actually, you guys are probably eating the SPAM that was built back when I was in high school and things. It's just like nobody really knows what SPAM is, but you eat it, and it's supposed to be like a meat substitute. But anyway, okay, so big LC SPAMS, this is how we'll do the 10 Commandments, okay? Just big LC SPAMS. So the big here will be all about God, and so the first one will be no blasphemy. No blasphemy. No taking the name of the Lord your God in a light or trivial fashion. To be honest with you, I don't know what to do with myself in your generation. I hear students, even on Gordon's campus, and my son just brought home a girlfriend that he had, and every other word out of her mouth was, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And everything, was just, everything. Instead of saying exclamation point, people say, oh my God. Is that taking God's name in a light and trivial way? And let me just illustrate for you. A teacher gets up in front of a high school class in Massachusetts. You know, Massachusetts, how it is here. And a teacher gets up and all of a sudden the teacher bumps her leg against the table and she says, oh my God. Okay, is that allowed in a Massachusetts school? Sure it would be. Same teacher gets up and she goes like this, oh my God. Question, is that allowed or not allowed? That'd be like she would lose her job, okay? And so I'm saying it's just really interesting. I think you need to think about using God's name and stuff and how you do it, whether you use it in a light and trivial way and things like that. He says, I don't want my name used in a light and trivial way. No blasphemy, okay? No idols. No idols would be would be idols. Again, we don't worship Baal and Asherah and Dagon. We don't have idols of stone and things. Some people will say we have idols of like car, money, houses, and things like that. And you can make a case for saying those things are idols. I also think about the idols we make in our mind as way we conceptualize God in a way that is much less than who he really is. And you've got to be careful about becoming comfortable with your own way of conceptualizing God. 1 John, the ending of the book of 1 John, he warns us, beware of idols. And so I think that is a really valid thing. Actually, I've had to face some of my own idols and things like that and realize my own idolatry in the 21st century. So anyways, we're not doing Baal worship anymore, but we do our own kind of 21st century idols. So no blasphemy, no idols, no other gods before me. Okay? So no other gods before me. And those three then, blasphemy, idolatry, and no other gods, those are all, kind of God-focused and things. Now, the LC is no lying. No lying. That's pretty apparent. No lying. No capitalism. I mean, no coveting. No coveting. Is our culture built on coveting? Is our culture built on coveting? And so no lying, no coveting, don't covet your neighbor's house, don't covet your neighbor's wife, don't covet your neighbor's stuff, and so no coveting. And this is a real problem in America, is everybody covets everybody else's stuff. And that's partially how our culture is built in terms of foundational stuff. So no lying, no coveting, no stealing, no stealing. Those people have the right to personal property. That's how you'd say it in a positive sense. People have a right to personal property. You don't steal their stuff, okay? Does your roommate ever steal your stuff? Or, saying you get things like that. Be careful. Stealing stuff, no good, okay? It's a sin against God, okay? There's no lying, no coveting, no stealing stuff. And what stealing does is it says that a person has the right to personal property. So all these commandments kind of have, let me just take this. You shouldn't lie, which means, how would you put that in a positive sense? You should tell the truth, okay? So you should be a truth speaker. You shouldn't lie, you should be a truth speaker. You shouldn't covet other people's stuff to get it for yourself. Should you be generous? You should be generous. And so, do you see how each of these can be kind of spun around and gone positive on? You shouldn't steal stuff, but you should rather be, giving stuff to other people. Now, parents, honor your father and your mother, okay? Honor your parents is honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long on the earth. And so this is the one that deals with parents. This is the only positive one. All the other ones are like, don't lie, don't steal, don't do this stuff. This is a positive one, honoring your father and your mother. It's a big thing. And, it gets into the question of what do I do when my father and mother are not honorable? My mother was a drug addict, my father walked out on me and stuff like that. So it gets to be a real difficult situation. How you would honor parents and things like that. It's a tricky situation. No adultery. A is for adultery. No adultery. Jesus speaks on this in the New Testament. Jesus says, you have heard it said of old times, thou shalt not commit adultery. But what does Jesus say? But I say unto you, he who's looked on a woman lustfully in his heart has committed adultery already in his heart. Jesus takes these commandments and drives them into the heart. He doesn't say, I've never committed adultery because I've never been married, and things. Jesus says, you've committed lust, you've already committed adultery and stuff. So adultery, by the way, in our culture, do we actually applaud adultery? Are half of our movies about adulterous situations and things? And so in the old days, they used to wear a red letter on them. Now you're a hero. You're going to, dance with the stars or whatever. And that was a bad association because not all the people on there are that way, but I'm saying you become a hero. In our culture, the celebrities, they turn over wives and turn over husbands and stuff, and it's kind of like applauded almost. So adultery, be careful about adultery. No murder. No murder is the M. Now notice, does the Bible say thou shalt not kill, or does it say thou shalt do no murder? It says no murder, okay? Is there a difference between killing and murder? Did the Israelites, did they kill people in war? Did the Israelites kill people in war? Were they violating this commandment? No, God told them in some of the cases to go to war. Another case that I would use like myself, and I fear going down Grapevine Road, a kid's riding his bike. These kids ride their bikes now, and all of a sudden the kid swerves in front of my car, and I run the kid down, and I kill the kid. Question, have I murdered the kid? Now, is the kid dead? Kid's dead, I rode my car over him and stuff like that. The kid's dead, so I killed him, but did I murder him? Murder implies hatred or malice and aforethought, those two words, malice and aforethought. In other words, I didn't have anything, there was no malice in my heart toward this kid. He happened to swerve in front of me, I couldn't stop and things. So malice and aforethought, in other words, you planned it ahead of time to kill the person, and so malice and aforethought, and that's murder. And so you got to make a distinction between killing and murder. By the way, do our laws in America make a distinction between killing and murder? Yeah, and do we have different degrees of murder and different degrees of killing and stuff? What if an old elderly, I want to say this respectfully for the honor of your parents and stuff, suppose, this would be really bad. Suppose my mother-in-law's got Alzheimer's, okay? Good or bad? Bad. Really bad? Really bad, okay? Suppose she got in the car and started driving the car. Now question, could she kill somebody? Could she kill herself? Okay, what would happen is that suppose she hit the gas pedal instead of the brake and she missed it because her coordination's gone and stuff. Could she actually ram into somebody and kill them and things like that? Would she be considered a murderer? Now, by the way, should she be driving a car? No. So that was a bad illustration, but what I wanted to say is, let's suppose a person gets drunk and goes out, drives, and they're drunk driving and they kill somebody. Question, are they a little more responsible than my mother-in-law who's got Alzheimer's? You know what I'm saying? She was totally out of her wits. Now, she shouldn't have been driving the car in the first place, okay? But a person that's drunk, are they more responsible? You know what I'm saying? Because there's neglect there. There's certain neglect. Did they do it with malice and aforethought? No, the problem was there was no thought, okay? And so there's, in other words, if you do something that's stupid that hurts somebody else, you know what I'm saying, then they have different levels of, you know what I'm saying, there's different degrees of murder and killing and stuff like that. So no murder, okay, murder, malice, and aforethought. And then lastly, the last one is the S, is remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. So the Sabbath is part of the Ten Commandments. And so, frankly, I find this really easy and things, Ten Commandments, big LC SPAMS, right? And can you think through it that way? Yes, sir, Peter.
What's the LC?
LC, Library of Congress. What's that? No, lying? No. Were you asking for the Library of Congress or were you asking for the real? Oh. Yeah, it's just LC. Big LC SPAMS, lying and coveting. So, yeah, all right. Now, okay, moving on. Another general stipulation, and so I want you to know the Ten Commandments. Another general stipulation, and that is what's called the Shema. Every Jew in the world, I swear, knows these verses. This is the John 3:16. If you're Jewish, Deuteronomy 6:4, Shema Yisrael. And this is called the Shema because the first word means, Shema means to hear. Hear, O Israel. Shema Yisrael. Hear, O Israel. Do some of you know, like if you go over to a doorpost over here, have any of you gone to a Jewish house and when you go in the doorpost, there's like a little W on the door and you see them go like this and like that? Does anybody ever go to a Jewish house and you see them touch the doorpost where there's this looks like a W. The letter W in Hebrew is this SH sound, okay? It's a sh sound. And when you go into a Jewish house, they will have this SH letter, it looks like a W, and it'll be on their door, and that's to remind them when they enter the house, they are to remember what? Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our God, Yahweh is one. And so they'll go and they'll touch it and kiss their hands like that and stuff like that. You'll see them when they go in the house and stuff. So it's just another way to remember Scripture. They'll put the little W on the door, or it's an SH for the Shema. So, hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our God. By the way, what's the next verse after that? Yahweh is our God, hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our God, Yahweh is one, and you shall what? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind and stuff. And so it goes on then. This is the great command of God, to love the Lord your God with all your heart. So this is part of the Shema, okay?